Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm in Spokane, Washington, and I'm going to be flying on a Delta Air Lines Airbus A320 first class with service to Minneapolis, St. Paul. There are very few people here. As a Delta Diamond, I'm able to use the Sky Priority check-in lane. The other good thing about being a Sky Priority member and a Diamond Medallion is that my bag is going to be checked for free. Checking one bag. Thank you. The lady at bag drop was really nice. She got me squared away, checked my bag, and now I'm going to head over to TSA. I'll be using the TSA pre-check lane here at the Spokane airport. There's about 5 or 6 people ahead of me, not a lot of people. All right, just finished TSA. That process took about 5 minutes today, not that bad. All right, and here I am in the main area of this terminal. It actually branches off to the A and B gates. Today, my flight will be departing out of the B gates. Very interesting architecture here in Spokane. I kind of like this rotunda.
Many airlines operate out of the Spokane airport, and the airport sees its fair share of varied types of operations. My Delta flight will be operating out of the B concourse, which is also the concourse for United Airlines. There are 8 gates in this concourse, which protrudes from the central rotunda.
That is a very welcoming sign, but I'm about to leave Spokane right now. I am all ready to board my Airbus A320.
Today I'll be flying on a 17-year-old A320 that was previously operated by Northwest Airlines before its merger with Delta. The aircraft's tail number still pays respect to Northwest Airlines as it ends in NW.
Let's head on over to Minneapolis.
As usual, we will begin boarding with passengers who require extra time or additional assistance onto the aircraft, followed by inviting our first class passengers and then our Comfort Plus. After that, we will begin boarding main cabin from the rear of the aircraft forward, and only 5 rows at a time.
Even though during the pandemic, Delta is boarding its aircraft from the rear forward, first class passengers may board towards the beginning of the boarding process, and I've learned that since I've been sitting in the first row with no underseat storage at all to be among the first on board to secure overhead bin space. My seat today is 1D. I've been choosing the first row lately because since I always want a window seat, it's easier to get out of your seat in the first row than in the other rows when someone's sitting next to you. The A320 is a real workhorse for Delta Airlines. The type was introduced into airline service in 1988 with Air France. Although these planes are old, Delta does a fantastic job making them look brand new inside. I always giggle when I hear boarding passengers say that the plane is brand new because it's far from brand new, but you'd never know by looking.
I'm excited to be flying on this Airbus A320 today. The destination of Minneapolis is 1,170 miles away today. For the flight today, we'll start off in Pacific time, pass through Mountain time, and end in Central time.
And as a reminder, federal law requires each person to wear a mask over their nose and mouth at all times throughout the flight, even while sleeping. This is required even if you have received the COVID-19 vaccine or negative COVID-19 test. Refusing to wear a mask is a violation and may result in removal from the aircraft and or penalties under federal law. We do appreciate your cooperation.
During pushback, the important safety video for all passengers was played. We left the gate right on time, which is important because many of the passengers aboard this flight will be connecting to the last flights out to their final destinations from Minneapolis. Today, we will be departing from runway 21, and to get there, Spokane Ground Control has told us to take taxiway Alpha to the beginning of the runway. With very little traffic in front of us, we got to the runway in a matter of minutes. It's always lovely to be in the air shortly after pushback, especially when you know you have a connection. Runway 21 is quite a long runway at 11,002 feet long. It's 150 feet wide and has a heading of around 210 degrees. The A320 is powered by 2 CFM engines under the wings, and if you're seated in front of the wings, a very unique and powerful sound can be heard as the captain applies power to them to achieve takeoff. Although loud, I love the sound. You can hear the power as we work our way down the runway. There is nothing low-key about this. Once airborne, to our right is the city of Airway Heights. I love the name of the city, and it got its name because it's roughly between the Spokane Airport and the Fairchild Air Force Base. These two airfields are in very close proximity to each other, and if you're casually looking at aircraft in the vicinity, you may be confused as to what airport the planes are flying to or from. The Fairchild Air Force Base is home to many KC-135 Stratotankers, which are a common sight in the skies over Spokane. Since the runway 21 heading is southwest, we'll need to make a left-hand turn to proceed to our departure fix and in the general eastern direction towards Minneapolis. The majority of the climb takes place over the states of Washington and Idaho before we enter our flight level until our descent over Minnesota. Flight attendants came by to hand out earbuds for the in-flight entertainment system, which are free for first-class passengers, but I don't use them. I'm on an airplane to enjoy flight, not to watch a movie. I don't even recline my seat so I can sit more erect to look out the window. The only screen that I watch is the moving map, which is excellent on Delta. And of course, the best source of entertainment are the windows. I just wish that the windows on the A320 were just a tad larger to make it easier to see a wider perspective. Once we leveled off, the flight attendants came by with the menu, which is still reduced to snack boxes during the pandemic. Of the two choices, I picked the market snack box. As usual, I had a sufficient meal before my flight because I knew what I'd be getting on board. There is not a lot to choose from these days, but eventually full hot meal service should be restored in first class. There were many choices for beverages, but I'm always satisfied with a simple bottle of water, so that's what I chose. The first-class lavatory is a well-lit and well-appointed space. Secure and private, it's actually not terribly noisy inside. Amenities include soap and hand lotion. Delta has installed a placard in the restroom to remind you that good hand washing takes 20 seconds, so I took their advice and made sure I spent a sufficient amount of time removing those germs from my hands. The toilet is a typical vacuum flush found on most modern-day aircraft types. As we continued eastbound, the cloud cover lessened, and it was easier to see out the window, which afforded me some great views of the U.S. geography below. As we approached the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport, we were in for a bit of a surprise. The airport had shut down due to thunderstorm activity over the field, which meant that all flights bound to MSP from all directions had to enter holding. There were no arrivals or departures at all, so the Minneapolis Air Route Traffic Control Center had us enter a left-turn holding pattern for about 25 minutes, which delayed our arrival time to MSP. Below us were about 5 other aircraft doing the same thing, and we were not allowed to exit the hold until they did. But we were among the fortunate, as many airplanes bound for MSP wound up diverting to Rochester, Minnesota, but we made it in. After about 25 minutes, the wings finally leveled out, and we headed towards the Twin Cities once again. We descended on the standard terminal arrival route and on occasion passed through some pretty intense clouds, but our A320 handled the bumps with ease. The rest of the approach was rather uneventful, and the center controller handed us off to the terminal radar approach control facility, where we received radar vectors to get set up for an approach to runway 12 right. This meant passing by Lake Minnetonka, which is about 15 miles west-southwest of Minneapolis. Despite bad weather in the area, the lake was pretty popular on this day, with many Minnesota residents out on their boats enjoying the water. You'd never know that moments before, the airport was completely shut down, but the sky was looking beautiful as we made our approach to the runway. Here's the approach sped up. Runway 12 right is 10,000 feet long. Our flight today took off and landed on runways that have much more length than required for this mid-sized Airbus. The runway is indeed wet, a sign of what just happened over the airport shortly before. The airport is in recovery mode from weather disruptions, and air traffic controllers working hard to make sure that all arrivals make it to the runway and all departures are able to take off. As we cleared the runway, there was a special, unexpected sight to behold. Weather started to move back into the area, and that put a pause on our flight once again.
Safety always comes first in aviation. We landed, everything was fine, but there's a little bit of weather that's passing through right now, so the airport has closed the ramp. We're just going to wait a few more minutes before we can actually get to the gate.
Ground marshalers come out, we'll be able to taxi right into the gate. So unfortunately, it sounds like it might be another 5 minutes or so. We thank you for your patience.
So we sat in position with our seatbelts still fastened. We didn't wait as long as we held in the sky earlier. Our gate in the G concourse is directly in front of us, and we only have a few aircraft lengths to go before we can park in the parking position and the jet bridge can be connected to the aircraft.
It'll be just a few more minutes and then we'll be able to pull up to the gate.
As soon as you exit the aircraft outside of the gatehouse area, there will be a TV monitor listed with the destinations to be listed in alphabetical order, along with your most current connecting gate information and connecting aircraft information as well. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, finally made it to Minneapolis St. Paul International Airport. You definitely feel the humidity from that thunderstorm here in the jetway. There are a lot of people in the terminal right now. My flight was delayed, which means the outbound flight is also delayed. All the flights at Minneapolis appear to be delayed today because of that thunderstorm. There was a lot of holding coming into the airport today. Well, I really hope you enjoyed this video of the Airbus A320. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell button so that you're alerted as to every time I post a new video for you.